I think we'll get started. Thank you for meeting with us today. Continue our negotiations. District still does believe that the best outcome here would be for our, where we reach a mutual agreement. So we have received the proposal from the union, which includes the $1 per hour across the board increase and a one-time $500 payment. So after we have reviewed that, after we've discussed as a team, we do have several counter proposals for your consideration, and we are hoping that they do lead to an agreement so we can settle negotiations. So we have 4 counter proposals, and we're willing to consider really any of them. Despite we do have our own preference on which we believe are in the best interest of our employees, but we're willing to entertain any of these. So we have a 4% across the board wage increase, obviously, that you're aware of. We have a tiered increase starting at 3.9% and increasing up to 4.5% based on years of experience in the district. It's important to note that this is something the SEIU bargaining team has asked for the last 2 years. And should you prefer the inverse of this proposal, we can flip it so that those employees who have been with us for lesser years and likely earn less receive a larger percentage if you prefer. We do have a flat increase of 80 cents per hour for all bargaining unit members. We could probably tier this one as well if you'd like, based on like an hourly rate band. And finally, a proposal similar to the structure of your proposal is a flat increase of 75 cents per hour paired with a $100 one-time cash payment. We could share all those proposal language with you. I do just want to also note our concerns with the flat dollar increase proposals. Flat amounts result in lower percentage increases for our higher paid employees, many of whom are performing critical operational responsibilities. So really, if we do that too much, it's going to lead to compression, and our higher paid staff might begin to feel undervalued, especially if they consistently receive lower percentage increases. So the district does have some concerns about that. Less if it's just a one-time kind of thing, but if we were to continue down that path, we wouldn't be in favor of it. We feel it would lead to some problems. And then apart from wages, we were prepared to agree or to offer some modified proposal to some of the items your team brought forward during session 2. We had some proposal language that we went through in 1 and 2, and your team brought some recommendations in 2. So we do have some, feedback on those. We were ready for that last session. We never really got to it. But, in terms of, pushing the reopener, making it a successor agreement in the fall again, I feel like, we prefer to maintain our current schedule because most of our contracts we feel has already been cleaned up and is pretty stable. Both sides opened articles and we've worked on those modifications. So we do have some, changes that could go into effect. And I still think that a fall reopener would be sufficient to allow for negotiations of any meaningful changes that, either party feels they need to bring. So with that, we're happy to review or discuss any of our proposals in more detail, or we can open up a caucus room where you and your team can discuss these counters.
Well, I just have a couple of comments on what you said. I understand and agree with your concern regarding the long-term impact of flat rate increases. They're pretty common, like in the construction industry, for example, to negotiate dollars and cents as opposed to percentages. But even where you do that, you will bifurcate them based on wage scales or classifications. So you're correct, and we share the concern that if you were to make this the common practice, then over time there would be a significant adverse impact on the higher paid employees. But understand our concern that right now we are trying to ameliorate the damage for our lower paid employees. And so the reason we took that flat dollar approach was it does exactly that. And it does that without having to differentiate wage increases, 3.9 for some, 4.5 for others, however you arrange that everybody gets an equal dollar under our proposal, along with the $500 bonus. And then we can go to the employees and say, everybody's getting an equal raise. On a percentage basis, obviously, it would be different based on your annual salary. With regard to the other issues in the other proposals, we continue to stand by our proposal. As we sit here, we're already mid-April. If we continue to negotiate and try to hash those issues out, who knows when we strike a deal. The health insurance increases are coming soon, probably sometime next month, I would guess, maybe in June. I'm not sure when those will be implemented, but they're coming. So we want to get some additional pay into the hands of these employees as soon as possible. And we think the easiest way to do that is to wrap up a one-year agreement now, maintaining status quo on all issues other than pay, and then coming back to the table in September to negotiate a successor agreement that would begin in January. Tim, out of the four options that you proposed, we would continue to favor what I guess would be your option 4, but we would prefer those numbers to be a little higher. I've got a little bit of wiggle room, but not much. I can offer 95 cents for the per hour increase for all employees, but we stand by the $500 bonus.
Okay, for first on the language proposals.
Yep.
I guess I'd put it out there that I'm not sure. I know you came into this piece of it after Shay had presented those, right?
Yes.
We weren't really asking for hardly anything. Ours was mostly cleanup, right? Your team did ask for some things that we were willing to move on. I don't know. I think you might want to just look at them and consider that. I don't think that it's going to be, I don't think it'll extend the timeline of negotiations that much. I think, in just in the past 4 years doing this, we haven't changed a lot of language, right? We go through it, and you got a lot of language on the table at first, and then once you're nearing a deal, you're really narrowing it down to, all right, yeah, we really need this to change. We really want this to change. I think we tried to go right to that, and things that we saw we could change, and are willing to do that. I just think that it might be worth it to at least look at it.
Oh, of course, I'd be happy to look at anything that you want to send over. But ideally, I'd like to strike a deal today. I'd like to get this done, and the easiest way to do that is to maintain that status quo for what at this point is 8 months.
Right. All right. If you said your position's 95 cents and 500, right?
Yep.
If we could just have a minute to go into
Sure.
a real quick caucus with our team, we'll be right back. All right.
Of course, absolutely. If you could break us out in a caucus room too, I'd appreciate it.
Diane, you got it?
Yes.
Thanks for the time, Mr. Floyd. We did talk a little bit about it, and do have a counter of 80 cents across the board and $150 one-time cash payment.
So, Tim, we're just not that close. Then, I said I had a little bit of room to move. I could go to 95, but I'm not going to have a whole lot more room than that. By our estimations, the $1 with the $500 bonus was about the equivalent of 7% of payroll across the 3 bargaining units, hit at about 9.8 million. If you got 80 cents and 150, I could try to do the math on it, figure it out. But, you're really offering about the equivalent of the 4%, which we've made clear we're not going to accept, or maybe a little bit more. I haven't done the math on that yet. So unless the district's got more room to move, what I would really like to have happen is I would really like for you to take our proposal, the $1 and the 500, to a SHADE meeting, to the school board, to put it before them and let them decide. I know in your correspondence, you said the district wouldn't seek or support anything greater than 4%, but I would really hope that you would take it to that SHADE meeting, let them decide, and come back and let us know the answer.
All right, we will go back to our team and see what we can do. And from there, we will schedule a follow-up meeting to give you an update, all right?
That would be great, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
Yeah, have a great day.
Can we stay on for a little bit?